All right, so I'm sitting here with Rapid City hardcore members, I guess. We don't have the whole band here. We're missing a couple, but I got Cameron, Andy.
Yep.
I keep calling you something else. Andrew?
Alex.
I keep calling you Alex. I don't know why. Like, Andy just doesn't, like, register in my mind. But yeah.
That issue myself.
Cameron, lead singer, guitarist.
Yeah.
Are you lead or rhythm?
Lead.
Sick. Introduce you guys yourself, maybe.
I'm Andy. I play the fiddlestick. And yeah.
I'm Cameron. I do vocals and make the flyers.
Make the flyers. That's the important part.
Yeah.
Do you play some of the other management roles?
Yeah, I manage the social media for the most part. Some of the other boys help me with that. I designed our shirt and our logo.
Are you like graphic design? Like, do you do like a bunch of graphic design in general, or is it just something you're picking up just for the project?
I did a lot when I was younger. It's something I picked up because of the band again, and something I've always wanted to do more of, and now I have an excuse to do it. As opposed to just random stuff that I'm never going to make into anything. Now I got to print stickers and shirts and
for the greater good.
Yeah.
That's always a good feeling. What I was excited about to talk to you guys on this podcast is just like the fact that I could be wrong, so don't hold me against this or whatever, but like I think you guys are like basically the only hardcore band in Rapid City at the moment. Is that sound correct? I mean, there's like punk bands, but I don't know if there's any like straight up hardcore bands at the moment, unless I'm just like forgetting some of the older ones or something.
But we're not quite like the style of hardcore that we want to be either yet, but I think we're about the closest thing to it in town.
I think we're the only band that identifies as hardcore that's in Rapid right now. And besides obviously Souls, I know that not all of their members live here. And so I'd say we're the only like true local band that is hardcore right now.
Yeah, I always mess up about like the Souls thing because now that they're all over the place. I don't know. Are any of the members here?
Sean lives in Spearfish.
Oh. Because I thought he had moved as well.
And then I don't know if Chris is back or not. Don't quote me on that. I mean, obviously, and I know that he was in Minneapolis, and then one of the other members is in Minneapolis too, and then the other dude, I have no idea. So
fair. So we're just gonna keep rolling with the only hardcore band in Rapid, at least at the moment, temporary. I will say it's kind of cool because I've noticed a lot of like punk bands like kind of popping up, and in the last 5 years, I feel like it was like there was a lot for a while, and then it like really died down. And I feel like it's coming back up in terms of punk. So like my hope in theory is like possibly if you guys inspire some of these other kids, we could be getting a hardcore scene going here again.
Here's hoping. It's kind of one of the goals. Getting people out dancing.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, both of you are kind of like, I don't want to say older, but like we've all been going to shows now for you guys probably longer than me, because I started going in 2007. It was way up. It was 2009 is like when I went to my first hardcore show. It was like Blood of Lions and like Maker Thea. And have you guys been going before that, correct?
Not too much. I was like 15 or 14.
14 that I started actively going to shows. I didn't really even realize that I liked music up until I was like 15 years old. And I started playing drums.
What year was that?
2009. No, maybe it was since 2009 then. I don't know.
I went to my first like hardcore show in 2007. That's when I first started going to shows. I'd been listening to the music for a few years before that, kind of like metalcore and like your Christcore stuff, because my mom was super Christian, and so the only bands she'd let me really listen to were like On Tooth and Nail and stuff like that. And so and I was finally allowed to go to a show when I was like 14 or 15. But yeah, so not too much longer than you, but even then, that's been a while. 12 years ago.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shows
I feel like when I first started going to, there was just like I couldn't go to all those shows. because like, well, one, I was in Spearfish, not Rapid, so I would always be playing the Weather. But I just remember like constantly like just like, you know, multiple times a month looking forward to like a band that was like coming through touring wise. And then like I feel 2000, I don't know, 14, no, a little after 14, 15 maybe, like roughly, it's just like goodbye everything.
I'd
like
say it
so
started on a downhill trend around 2012-ish, but it didn't really hit rock bottom until like 14, 15, like you were saying.
And I was like, I have to admit, I was a bit of a dropout for a while. I didn't go to a single punk show in Rapid from 2010 till probably 2014. So like I was one of those people that just like I was one of the older crowd that just stopped going to shows. Like, and I moved. Part of that was I moved away for a year, and then I came back, and I just wasn't really into the scene, into the music as much as I was. I was big rap phase for me, so I wasn't going to real punk shows or anything at that point in time. But no, I'm really glad to see it turn around, and I'm hoping that one of the goals with this band is to help foster the scene like it was 10 years ago.
Yeah, we're trying to be kind of like a pivotal point just to inspire people to start doing music, because, you know, if we do it and make it work, then other people are going to be like, hey, bands do work here. And just here's hoping.
Yeah, exactly. I would say like you guys, I don't want to get into it because I feel like I'm just gonna miss some like obvious bands, but like you guys like Someday Best, and School Kid like are really kind of like, I don't know how to put it.
New blood.
Yeah, pretty much. I would say so, and I'm definitely forgetting like some other bands. So I hope nobody takes this personally, but that's like why I'm like excited too, because it's like cool. Like when I met you, like you were telling me, oh yeah, we're starting a hardcore band, and I was like, oh wow, like a hardcore band in Rapid City. Like it's been a little bit of a minute, so super exciting. One of the things we were kind of talking about, well, the reason I'm here is you guys are actually about to go back to the studio to record vocals on the upcoming EP. And one of the things we were talking about before we started recording was the fact that you're like, yeah, this is what we're doing now, but like it's not exactly like what style we 100% want to be going for. So do we want to like kind of compare what you guys have like right now with this upcoming EP, and then we can kind of talk about like what style you guys do want to go for in the future?
Yeah, so like originally this band started because me and Andy were hanging out all the time, listening to music, and we started like it basically started in my bedroom, like sitting there and playing riffs and me yelling along and like helping write riffs, and we're like, we want to start a band.
Yeah, it's like this kind of works.
And originally started with like bands like Defeater and Modern Life is War and Have Heart being the main inspiration, and wanting to do a very kind of worship melodic-esque band.
Yeah.
And then
kind of like They All Had a Bastard Child, and that's kind of where the first songs came to be, because we were really trying to gather or go for that vibe. And now that we've actually written those songs and we can hear them and whatnot, it's kind of like, we hit that point, I felt, but we want to kind of trim the edges a bit and make it more like a quick 2-minute dance fest or something, not like a 5.5-minute extravaganza where you're just like, let's suck these guys' dick, they're on a podium.
Yeah, no, it's less grandstandy and more traditional, like American hardcore, like late 80s, early 90s influence stuff, instead of being
influenced off of influences, going actually like back to the roots of it.
Yeah, like actual like original, like a lot of youth. I'm like really influenced by early youth crew like Turning Point and of course like Minor Threat, and then like a band that I really love right now from the 90s is Mouthpiece. A lot of those influences, taking what we have now and turning it into a mosh band, because what we have right now is like 4-minute, 3-minute long songs, and we want to chop that in half, and kids can 2-step.
Yeah.
And getting that kind of vibe and bringing that to Rapid City, because that's been really missing here for a long time, I feel like. Because there's been a lot of post-hardcore bands from out of town that have come here, but not a lot of traditional hardcore bands that are influenced by like
shit that inspires you to move versus just sit there and listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like when I think of you guys' music, like at the moment, I really think of like almost like scrams in a way, but more in the sense of the not really like music style, but more so in the like storytelling with the music style, if that makes sense. It's a lot of like emotion and stuff like that, which is sick, but like yeah, definitely what you're talking about. It's definitely gonna be going in like a completely well, I would say like a completely different direction. I mean, I think the song we were just listening to, Sinking, like I don't think I like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't throw down to that.
No,
you know?
No,
exactly, and
it's more, it sounds more like metalcore than hardcore would be how I'd say it.
Yeah, and even then it's like melodic metalcore, and like that you would stand there and like watch somebody be like and like hold a lighter up, as opposed to wanting to like, you know,
punch your buddies.
Yeah, and throw down and stage dive. Teach these kids how to stage dive, hopefully one of these days. But yeah, I would like to see kids, you know, front flipping and doing pile-ons to our music, as opposed to the kind of like grandstanding music that we're making now. And like one of my favorite things in hardcore is sing-alongs, and like influencing like simple enough lyrics where kids want to crawl to the front and sing along. And without, we don't, like, that being said, we don't want to be a hate mosh band by any means.
Yeah.
Like,
and we still want there to be like take the musicianship that we've got for the songs, but just compress it into a 2-minute song that you can dance to. It's like, I think the quality of the music is there. It's just not the style that we want it to be.
oh yeah, the quality of the musicianship is there. Andy's an amazing guitarist. He'll probably say otherwise, but yeah, we I think a lot of it is we all get a little excited, and then we catch ourselves beating a dead horse in the same song for a while. I mean, it's like this is pretty much all of our first serious like band, and all like as far as everybody writing their own thing. And then also on top of that, this is pretty much everybody's first hardcore band, I would say. This is my first time being in a band doing vocals at all. Like the last time I did anything like this was in high school, messing around with my friends. So this has all been a learning experience for us. And like just hearing the songs played back, we've already recorded without vocals. We're already me and Andy both have been like, I love this, but I want to change it.
Yep.
And
I wholeheartedly endorse the shit that we have right now. It is damn good music. Like, I'd sit there and listen to it, but that's all I would do. I wouldn't like get up and start hopping around and swinging at the air and whatnot. And that's the feeling I want to be invoking.
I think that, yeah, like I mentioned, I probably talk about them a lot, but like one of my favorite bands of all time is Turning Point, and they definitely invoke that, where they have songs where it's emotional, but you can still feel like you want to crawl over kids to yell the words.
It's just got soul in it.
Yeah, and you want to front flip off the stage and stuff like that, where as opposed to our stuff, it's a lot more in the vein of, you know, like Touche Amore, La Dispute right now, which I love those bands too, but that's not what our project we want to push towards.
Yeah,
like,
that's
so
not like the main ideal for the band.
And like one of the songs you'll hear if you come by is the third song on the demo or EP, whatever you want to call it, is definitely more of a mosh oriented song and way more of an in your face kind of song. And so we want to take that aspect, that meanness, and marriage it with the
really pretty flayed out stuff.
Yeah, the fugazi like beautiful riffs that we have in the other songs.
Punchy, instead of like just spinning its wheels in the same spot.
Exactly. No, it's funny because originally when we started this band, we just like tell everybody like, well, we just wanted to mostly just have Heart 2.0. That was the original idea.
Yeah, that was our first basis of comparison, or Defeater. But those two by far were the main inspiration starting out.
And we've come a long way from that, as opposed to even especially from the Defeater thing, because you can really see the Defeater influence in like us first song, like Sinking. Like it's like straight up a Defeater ripoff, like like damn near, and not in a bad way. Like we love that band, and
it's just too much of the same color, because people would hear it, and not to say that they'd be like, oh, that's Defeater. They'd be like, this is like shitty Defeater.
It's like these kids sat and listened to this, like, you know, from letters home or whatever, and just we're like, we're gonna write 6 songs like that.
I mean, that's basically how it started, unfortunately.
I did make a bad joke on Snapchat where I was like, what did I do? I had my dad's military journal because he was in Iraq for 2 years, and I was like, I don't know if this is exactly correct, but it was something along the lines of like, should I send this to Defeater to like write like an album with it or something? But so maybe I should, if you want to keep the Defeater thing going, like I can give you guys his war journal.
Right? So, right there.
But I have two more things too in terms of what you guys just said, which is pretty sweet. It's a lot. Like it's like a more full understanding for those who didn't understand before. Second, is it Fugazi? Have I been saying it wrong forever? I always thought it was Fugazi, but like I've been so wrong on so many band names before that like
I think they're two different things.
I think Fugazi is actually a band.
No, I have a Fugazi record in my room right now.
Oh, you were referencing a different band.
I was referencing a word. Okay, like
my bad. I was like, you guys don't sound like waiting room at all, but like
no.
That's my bad for sure.
No. Like whenever I've heard Fugazi used, it's been like kind of like it's all like ooh, yeah, like I wish somebody could see what Andy's doing right now. It's just like real
shoegaze, but up.
Yeah, like shoegazy, like really pretty and like lift your lighters up kind of thing. Like,
got you.
Like what 100th is doing right now.
Okay, fair. God, I love shoegaze, but I've never heard fugazi, so I'm just like, oh, okay.
Using the words
and we could be misusing it. Who fucking knows?
We're all wrong.
That'd be quite amazing. The third thing I was gonna say is you guys want to go for more of that dancey, moshy sound. Mm-hmm. Therefore, this is a prediction. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Defect will be the first band to have somebody jump off the balcony at the Cave Collective.
That is my goal.
We can break up
safely, of course, safely. Like they're gonna catch them, but I'm just saying nobody's jumped off that balcony yet.
Like as long as we get a team, yeah. I mean, we can break up after that. That's fine.
Yeah, right. That's
cool.
Mission achieved.
Mission accomplished.
Well, it's like that one dude who was like, "Yeah, you guys have an energy like the Chariot," and I was just like, "Don't tell me
Don't
that.
ever put us on that pedestal."
No.
I mean,
that's my most wet dream of all time. But that's not reality.
We're like.
I'm just glad people dance to us. Honestly, like that's what I want to be having people do.
The Chariot's like 5-star restaurant, and we're like
down the road.
we're like Hardee's dollar menu.
So the fact that we both have meat on our menus, you could say there's a similarity there. As far as quality and quantity, there's a slight difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah, don't eat meat. Go vegan.
Oh yeah. Vegan Inquisition.
So before we move on, I guess we're kind of working backwards in a sense. So that's what Defect is going to go for in terms of like your next time they get. Well, I mean, are you guys already writing some stuff on that's like a lot more moshier and dancier?
I've got some riffs in mind that I've been playing with that I think could be turned to that use, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. We just need to actually get all of our stuff back and sit down and start writing again. But as far as actually writing, we haven't really done a whole lot.
We've been mostly focusing on getting this stuff recorded because, like, this demo, we've had, 2 of these songs, but we've had a handful of songs written that we could put on a demo
since the beginning of summer.
And we've just been putting it off and waiting for somebody else. Like, I love him to death, but Andy Martin from When Was the Earth was originally supposed to record this demo for us, but he was so busy and we mistimed it, and we just kept getting put off, and finally we were like,
let's just sit down and do it.
Yeah, and I hit up Scotty from Flatiron, and we were like, dude, we need to record a demo, and he got us in like within 2 weeks, and now we're here, going to record vocals tonight, and I should have the final mixes in the next couple weeks, and
off we go.
Yeah, and should have a demo release show in the next month or two, so
to SoundCloud.
Yeah.
SoundCloud, Bandcamp.
Yeah, we do have a Bandcamp, but that will be posted on our Facebook and our Instagram, which our Instagram is Defect605. And you can find us on Facebook, just Defect or Defect or whatever way you want to say it.
Yep. Links in the show notes. But anyways, so in terms of this EP or these songs that you already have, I know we just kind of talked about like upcoming, but like what was some of the like writing process with what you currently have? Like I know you already discussed like the Defeater and like stuff like that being influences. But another thing too is
how the songs actually come about.
Yeah, in a sense, and that as well as you know, I know they're not here, but I'm sure you can speak for the other Cameron who's on drums and Sam who is doing bass and
Or the rhythm guitar.
or yeah, excuse me, and then
Caleb.
Gosh dang it, there's too many C's here.
I know,
Two
right?
Camerons, a Caleb.
3 M's.
This is ridiculous. So yeah, if you want to kind of speak for the other 3 members and kind of bring it all together on like the writing process of these current songs.
Well, basically how it worked with these ones is I would usually come up with some kind of a beginning of an idea for a riff, and I just play that over and over, get it at least to where I could repeat it comfortably. And then we'd all get together on our band practice day and be like, all right, what do you think of this? Play it through. Ken will play some drums. And we just kind of go back and forth, having like nitpicky ideas and whatnot, being like, we could do this like an extra part, do this a little shorter. And we just refine it as we go along, with everybody just kind of chipping in as it goes. But as far as actually starting it, it's probably we get the basic idea for the riff and then just throw everything else on it.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the only songs that really had any sort of history to it right now that's on the demo is Sinking.
Yeah, that's the first song we actually tried to write.
Yeah, and like that was half written before the band even started, because me and Andy, I had sent Andy some lyrics because he just wanted something to like have in his head, and he like really liked this particular song, and he wrote a riff to it that is going to be on the EP. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the riff's been rewritten a handful of times, but
I've obsessed over it a fair bit.
But the basic backbone of that song was like,
it's pretty much always been the same.
Yeah, and but like Andy said, he'll come to class with a riff and we'll basically just jam it, and then we'll all talk about basic song structure and what we kind of want from this song, mm-hmm. what the riff influences, what it sounds like it should be to us, and we'll go from there. And we've written a couple of songs in like half an hour before if it really clicks. Mm-hmm. Like Take a Walk is the second song on this demo. And we wrote that in like an hour in the morning. Yeah. One morning.
I started plinking the riff, Cam started playing drums, and Cam started singing. And we were just like, hey, this works. Cool.
Yeah, we just we were discussing, we basically went back and forth for a couple minutes about the song structure, and we all had some suggestions. We played it and a couple of times we're like, all right, that sounds like a song. And it's pretty much unchanged to this day.
Yeah. Yeah. The only difference is the second half of it, there's like a conflicting guitar part, and yeah, that's the only change that ever happened. Otherwise, it was just the bass riff the entire time. Mm-hmm. Unlike Sinking. That song reinvented itself 500 fucking times.
Yeah. And that's something, too, that was a learning experience for us all. Not getting so obsessive over one song, mm-hmm. and rewriting it 500 times, or adding so much onto it that we could have just made another song.
Yep.
Because that was one of the things that we kind of talked about before you started recording, was that when we showed you a preview of one of the upcoming songs, was that we could have definitely made 2 songs out of that, and
it would have hit the point better.
Yeah, and so we're definitely going to take that and moving forward and use what we learned to write better music and the music we want to hear from our band. Mm-hmm. Because that song, without giving too much away, it's like 3 minutes and 50 seconds long.
When it easily could have been like 2.5.
Mm-hmm. And they got the point across a lot better.
Yeah.
And we could have split it. We could have split off half that song into another song, or just cut out half of it. Because there's a couple of parts where like I've been told, like I showed it to other people, and like they've straight up told me like, oh, I felt like it was going to end here, and then you guys did that, and then it didn't, and that was kind of cool. But then I felt like it was going to end again, and then it didn't, and I just kind of wanted it to end. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I feel that. Like I feel that, especially for hardcore. You should, as a general rule of thumb, you shouldn't have songs longer than 2.5 minutes. Really.
Like if you expect people to be dancing to them, you have to account that they're going to get tired. No one's going to be dancing for 5.5 minutes straight, unless they want to die.
Exactly. Like that's when you're really venturing into the post-hardcore realm of things, and that's something we want to reel in. It's like, so the writing process was all been like a huge learning experience for us. It's been crazy. And then Cam, our drummer, he's just been amazing. Like he's really learned a lot along the way.
He's really helped us throw a lot of songs together too.
Yes.
He actually plays drums really well. And he'll like have a fill that'll make me or Sam or Caleb think of a part that'll chain off of that. It's that back and forth that just actually ends up making the songs.
It's also nice too, because this is no shade against him at all, but he's also very new to hardcore.
Yeah.
And so he's been learning all like every step of the way. Everything's new to him, and it's cool like watching somebody like fall in love with something that like I found, I've been kind of beaten like a dead horse for a long time, and it's nice watching a kid find bands that I like we all know about, but he's just like, it's the first time he's ever heard of them, and he's like, oh, check this out, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's cool. And it's really nice to be able to influence people like that around us, because not just him, but there's other kids that have come up to the shows and been after the show and been like, yeah, your music's great, and I'm like, you should check out these bands.
Yeah.
Like,
listen to hardcore.
Yeah. Please, like, if anybody's listening to this podcast, just go home and do your homework.
Yeah.
Like, listen to some freaking hardcore. Go to Hate 56, watch some videos. Like, figure out what you like. It's not all just like Bring Me the Horizon isn't fucking hardcore.
No.
Like
not.
Yeah. Go home, listen to Minor Threat, and then go from there. Like,
Trapped Under Ice even.
Yeah, Trapped Under Ice. Like, there's so many like separate different sections of hardcore. There, I guarantee you, there's a section for you.
Oh yeah, it's probably the most versatile rock-ish type music out there. I would say.
I think it's the last great like underground guitar culture.
Yeah, and hardcore is the spot where you really don't have people following any specific formula, other than you usually have some form of breakdown in your song. And otherwise, it's dudes like you have bands like Envision, where it's like this epitomal like god tier musicianship, and where you can still move. And then you have stuff like Minor Threat, where it's a lot more bare bones, a lot more just really good dancey fight music.
No, yeah, exactly, and that it's crazy, like the amount of difference you can find in it just from band to band, and the creativity that you can take with using 3 chords in a fast riff
and a weird strum pattern. That's all it takes.
And a fast drum beat and a 2-step drum beat. Like, it's just like, how many times has that been reinvented? But it's still fun. It still gets me hype.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like it's always going to get me hype. Like, you hear like those couple of lines before a pit, and you're like, oh shit, I guess I'm
all right.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be universal, and I'm glad that it's still going. And it's having I think it's having a bit of a resurgence compared to what it was like from like 2010 to 2015. Because I think overall throughout the United States there was like a lull. Like freaking Sound and Fury like was not a thing from like 2014 to 2016. I don't remember.
Wow. I didn't know it wasn't, or it was done.
I didn't even know that.
It wasn't a thing for a few years.
Wow.
And like, it's just like, it's cool to like watching, like, hardcore's in a really great spot right now, and I'm really excited to see like where a lot of these young kids, like, because I'm 27, and like for us starting a band when I'm this old, I mean, there's a lot of older dudes in hardcore, and there always will be, but for us starting our first band at that age, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But like, there's bands like One Step Closer.
They're teenagers still.
They're like Brian, the dude, the bassist. He's like, I think he's 19. Like, wow. It's crazy.
And
they're
like, damn good musicians.
Yeah.
Too. I love them.
It's crazy watching what some of these kids are doing, and they're playing This Is Hardcore and Sound and Fury, and I'm super stoked for them. Like, that's what this it's for the kids, and it's like, it's at the end of the day, it's a youth movement, and we're trying to influence kids to do better things and have a place,
treat themselves better.
Yeah, we want to have a place where they can come and be themselves and be like the outcast and not get into bad shit.
Like, just at the end of the day, the best thing about hardcore, and the reason that I love it as much as I do, is it's family based. Like, you're at a show with people, and for the most part, you know that everyone's there for the same purpose, and it's just like solid camaraderie. Yeah,
like the tough guy posturing. I mean, everybody, we could talk about that for wherever, but it's always going to be there. But at the end of the day, those are the minority.
Yeah,
like,
they're the ones that aren't actually about it to be about it anyway.
And they're tourists. They're going to be gone in 3-4 years. They're not going to be around. Like, they're hardliners that they're in it for the image, and they'll be gone. They'll get married and get a quote unquote real job, and all of a sudden put on a polo and then decide that they're not into hardcore anymore.
Yeah, it was just a phase.
Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought up too that, like, just hardcore being in a good spot now too, and the fact that you guys are going more like towards like, you know, more of a dancey mosh band is, I think that's like what's really growing in hardcore too. But like you said, like there's something for everyone at the same time. Like let's just talk modern like hardcore right now, like new bands like Turnstile. Compare that to like Knocked Loose and compare that to Gulch. Those are like 3 totally different bands, but they're all the hardcore. You know what I mean? Even if you're more into metal too, like Candy, they're getting super big now, and that's like more metal, but like they still got those dance parts in Candy. And so I think, you know, like I know you guys want to do that just because you like want to do it. That's what you want to do, but I think it's also like a good thing in the sense of like, coincidentally, like that is what is getting like, that's what's really popping right now. You know what I mean?
We can ride that wave. I mean, I'm not going to complain.
And at the same time too, like that's what I love to do. I love to mosh, and I want to make music for the moshers. And I would love to see, you know, I don't care if you push pit or what you do. I just want, like, I love to get kids moving, and it's like my dream is to see a room full of kids just 2-step into my music. Like that's the goal with this. That's always been the goal with this band, and I love that it's moving like back towards like traditional, like you know, first, second, third wave American hardcore again. Influence in all those bands, like in all those bands you just mentioned, you could still move to them. You can still dance to them. Like even not necessarily Turnstile, even newer Turnstile, not you couldn't necessarily mosh, but you're still gonna stage dive. You're still gonna crawl up to the front and like run across the stage and do a front flip. Like at the end of the day, and that's what it's about. It's not about sitting there with the lighter up so people, because like hardcore is a participation sport. And it's not about watching somebody on a stage twice as tall as you and being in awe of them. Like, look at this rock star. Like, no, like it's about dressing like everybody. Like, look at like one of you. Dude. I'm a regular ass dude up here yelling on the same level as you. And like, if you know the lyrics, grab the mic, yell into it. Like, this mic is your mic kind of mentality. Like, all that stuff about hardcore. Like, it's coming back as opposed to the commercialized version that we kind of knew as kids. A little bit. That was like the whole like scene.
Like Terror or?
No, like, just like,
like The Devil Wears Prada and like Bring Me the Horizon and Mice and Men. Okay, cool. Yeah, got it.
And like naughty knock on those dudes, because like I'm sure a lot of them dudes are good dudes, and like a lot of that stuff got us into hardcore. Like Under Oath, I have an Under Oath tattoo on my leg. Like, and like, but at the end of the day, like that's the kind of music that's what they were. They turned it into not necessarily a cash grab, but it became more rock star status as opposed to the punk values of
just going to a show to go and be with some people and have fun.
You know, playing a floor show or a stage that's 6 inches off the ground. Like, it's
being part of the crowd.
Yeah, no freaking barriers bullshit. Like, I hate barrier shows.
It's stupid.
I just went on that Knocked Loose tour, and my first thing that I walked in, the first thing I saw was barriers, and I was like, "What?" But I found out that was like the venue was purchased by like Eventbrite or like Ticketfly or like Ticketmaster, like one of those big ticketing like companies, and like they bought that venue, and so therefore all the shows like they just have to have barriers there because it's their choice. It was not like Knocked Loose's choice or anything, but like that just like threw me off because I'm like, dude, this card is like stacked like with you know, stage jumping tunes, and I'm like, barriers, like what the heck. But
that one thing that does make me sad is like watching bands that like have to play bigger shows because they have bigger fan groups, and like they don't want to leave out anybody, like they don't want to be exclusive. But
it's kind of the lesser of two evils sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic to me because like like I've seen Terror play shows with barriers too, and it's just and Scott Vogel sitting there yelling, telling everybody jump off the stage. Like, what, I'm gonna jump 10 feet out past this fucking barrier? Like, thank you. And people still do it, but like at the end of the day, I would always rather go to a 100 cap room with a 2-foot stage than any of that stuff.
Barriers stop it from feeling intimate. Like, you can't just actually admire a crowd doing its thing, and vice versa, being the crowd up and wanting to get up and jump in the musician's face. Like,
nothing's better than a good old fashioned vocalist pile on.
Yeah,
like.
That stuff's awesome.
Yeah, like nothing's like watching 12 dudes jump on top of a dude to like yell the lyrics at the mic. And so like it's like you said, it's a sense of family and camaraderie and that stuff. Whereas I don't want to say equality, but like just
Just because I'm up on the stage playing doesn't mean that you can't be doing it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like I'm better than you or like you need to like be afraid to come talk to me or anything like that or whatever. Or
yeah. We're only kind of assholes.
Yeah. I'm only a little bit nervous.
And like you were saying too, like, you know, part of hardcore is being kind of equal to each other and everything, and barriers kind of take that away, and it pushes kind of that like rock star kind of agenda, I guess. One of the things you mentioned as well, I'm trying to remember, I had a really good question. I just forgot about it. Yeah, no, it's all good though. Shoot, hopefully I remember that question. But another thing I did remember too was like hardcore is probably the only genre that I will like go to. Like I'll travel to Denver 6 hours from here. That's like the only genre that I would probably like travel all the way to Denver by myself to go to a show and feel completely fine because I know that I'm going to meet people that night. And like Knocked Loose, I keep bringing up this show. It's just like the most recent bigger hardcore show I went to. So that's why it's going to happen. Yeah. But I went to Knocked Loose by myself and ended up, you know, talking to 10 people that I never had met before. We just started talking like in between sets. And I think I now follow like 5 of those on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
that's the cool thing about it is you go there and you see like-minded people who just want to have a good time at a show and just swing.
Mm-hmm. We're like Andy mentioned earlier. You know, you when you go to a hardcore show, it's generally that everybody's there for the same reason, and you can go to them alone and meet new people every single time and make new friends. And you know, it's like a Knocked Loose show that I went to a couple of years ago. There was a couple, like, there was a dude that was out front with me the whole time, and we were, like, supposed to scream the lyrics, and, like, you know, like, had, like, at one point, like, arms around each other, like, headbanging together and stuff. I don't know that dude's name to this day, but we were best friends for, like, a half an hour. Mm-hmm. Like, it's that kind of mentality where you're not going to go to a rap show and get that same kind of camaraderie. You just aren't.
Yeah. That's with it just being a participation sport, too. Like, you got to be like wholeheartedly in it to actually really appreciate what it's about, I feel.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, like there are other genres that are like, you know, I'm saying hardcore as a whole, but I think there's other genres that are kind of like surrounding that genre that are like similar in the sense, like in a sense, like post-hardcore or even some pop punk.
Yeah, some of the more aggressive pop punk for sure. Yeah.
And so I went to. It was Tiger's Jaw and Balance and Composure and Me Without You. Balance and Composure's last show. Tiger's Jaw, I was like in the middle of the crowd. There's another show I went to by myself, I believe. And I was in the middle of the crowd. And I was just like crying. And this other dude came up to me and like it was also crying. He grabbed my shoulder and we just started singing like the words together. And this was like Tiger's Jaw, who, I mean, like they're not a hardcore band, but they grew up in hardcore scenes in Philadelphia and like, you know, came out of the basement, you know. And then when Balance and Composure, after their set, like there was a group of us that were like kind of moshing all night to Balance and Composure. And after they were done playing, I ended up hugging like 10 people as if I knew them forever. Mm-hmm. And we like hugged each other because it's like we were all like dancing together that whole night. And we didn't say a single word to each other, but we hugged each other like we had talked like all night. And so, I mean, I'm sure other people have experienced this in other genres, but for me personally, I've gone to EDM shows, I've gone to just like rock shows, hip hop shows, and I've yet for that to ever happen other than like these sort of experiences. I have yet to ever happen at anything besides like hardcore in the genres that kind of surround those.
Hardcore punk and adjacent, like is a good way to look at it. Like it's all of that stuff kind of comes from the same basic mentality, and so it's definitely breeds that kind of brotherhood or family aspect, and it's nothing like it. Like it's amazing, and I'm so thankful for it in every way. Like it's
gotten me through some shit.
It's gotten me through some shit, man. Exactly. And I don't know, it's crazy. Like it's hard to explain. Like
it's life affirming.
Yeah, if you like music, go to a punk show.
Like, you're not going to find people enjoying it more anywhere else. Like, just actually just bearing their souls to each other.
Even at your local DIY venue, like, there's going to be, if there's 30 kids there, I guarantee you, like, those 30 kids are going to be having a way better, more closely knit time than any Jethro Tull, like, whatever, like Led Zeppelin bullshit.
Yeah.
Not knocking on those bands, because, like, I listen to, like, old classic rock, but, like,
it's good music, but that's still not dance music.
Or, like, it's not anything, like, yeah, you're not going to, like, gonna go to a, like,
it doesn't have that type of
a Drake or a Kanye show and get that same kind of emotional, like, connection and, like, enjoy, like, pure enjoyment. Like, it's so pure.
Yeah, like, you leave a hardcore show, punk show, just feeling revitalized most times. Just like, I'm tired, but fuck, that was wonderful.
Like, one thing that does suck about hardcore can be is that, you know, like what we mentioned a little bit earlier with tourists, you know, people that come in it for a few years and then leave, is a lot of the problem is they see the violence in hardcore or whatever, and they want to get in fights, or they get punched because they're standing near the pit and they get in fights, and
just because they don't actually know
what's going on, or what the etiquette is, or what's happening. And it's like, my favorite thing is being at a fest or a show where it's like, it's all hardcore kids. It's no, like, not to knock on Knock Loose to bring them up again, but, like, sucks. Like, I've been to a few Knock Loose shows where it's obviously, like, you know, some normies and tourists that don't know what the fuck is going on and start fights because some dude swung at their girlfriend and when they're standing near the edge of the pit or whatever, when they don't get it. And whereas, like, you go to a hardcore fest, like, I'm going to Snow and Flurry in 2 weeks. It's going to be all hardcore kids, and we're going to, like, you get punched, you might get clocked in the face, somebody's going to pick you up. And, like, it's...
everybody cares.
And, yeah, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, they're going to pat you on the back afterwards. Like, it's not like they're trying... It's a healthy way to get out that kind of aggression and that anger, because everybody harbors that shit. You're a liar if you say you don't get aggro sometimes.
Yeah.
And like, it's better than punching a hole in your wall or shooting up a Walmart because you're fucking mad at the world. Like, you can go to a hardcore show and swing on some dudes, or like swing your fucking arms and get hit, because getting hit is, like, life affirming.
That feels good.
It does. It sounds fucking insane, but it does.
But that's part of the thing too, I think.
Yeah.
Just hardcore in general, especially for when you get super duper, like, this is my kind of music. Because I feel like those are the people that there's something else, like, wrong in their lives, and it's something that actually can make your life worth living again. Because that's how it was for me.
And even then, once you get past that, because, you know, for the most part, we have it pretty good. You know, our lives in America aren't generally hard. Most people,
all relative.
most hardcore kids' lives aren't that hard.
We're on fucking second world Africa.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, you still have those feelings of, you know, being trapped or not. Whatever it is you've got that's a negative feeling, that you can come to a safe, like, it's not a safe space, but I hate to use that phrase for hardcore, but you can come to a space where it's influenced to do those things. In
a healthy environment.
That's a good way to put it.
And if you don't move, like, nobody's even caring. You know what I mean? If you want to stay in the back and watch, like, nobody's mad at that. Yeah. You know, because I'm hit or miss on if I'm moving or not. Like, sometimes I'm just, like, so hyperactive and I'm out, like, moshing all night. And other nights I'm like, I'm so tired. Or it's like, I just spent a ton of money and I'm not going to risk breaking my leg because I'm going to be that person.
But I'll clown people for, like, not moshing at the end of the day, but that's all it is. It's like, especially if you're there and, like, you're showing up to shows, that's what fucking matters.
That's the commitment right
there. Like, go to the whole show, though. Like, one thing that does rustle me a little bit is motherfuckers that will, like, cool guy posture and only show up for the band they know. Like, don't go to a freaking Knock Loose show or a famous, like, a popular band show and wait until the goddamn, like, the headliner to show up to the show. You show up for the opener, you show up for the local, support the scene, support your local scene. Because if you're actually about it, then be about it.
Yeah, and if there's no support, then there's no scene.
There's no scene. Without that, what you don't realize, without that local band, there is no Knock Loose, or there is no that coming to, like, because, like, KL used to be a local band and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, like Backtrack and all these other, like, you know, semi-famous, like, or Terror. Like, if nobody would have supported them locally, they wouldn't have
ever been anything.
They would have been who they are now, and that's something that will make me mad to no end, is watching people, like, like watching a show be, you know, half empty for the first 2-3 bands, and then all of a sudden it's wall to wall for the closer or for the touring band, and it's like,
stay for the whole damn show.
Yeah, show up for the whole damn show. You're paying for the 4 to 5 bands or whatever. You know what? Might as well get your money's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I see this happen with like just locals too. Like it's like there's 3-4 local bands on the card. Like for example, like maybe it'll be like your release show. Like if you have openers at your release show, like you want everybody there. You know what I mean? For all those other 2-3 bands that play before you. And that's what I see a lot, just like local bands. It's like, damn, like 2 local bands played and then a ton of people just showed up for this last local band. Or even sometimes it's the touring header and they have to throw the local like band last. Because they're like, if we play before you and you're the touring band, 75% of these people are going to leave. And like I've always kind of just like been kind of offended by that. Like it's like,
no,
really?
More often than not, we've had to like there's been a handful of shows that we played this year that we've had to play last because
for that reason,
for that exact reason, because we were like the promoters and us were fairly certain that like half these kids were going to leave if we played. And like it was like, which pisses me off. It's like if
that's not how it should be.
No.
And that's what we're kind of trying to work the scene toward against, because like especially being at ground zero, we can start influencing people to think this way. Like actually being like, okay, I'm going to go to a show. I'm going to actually enjoy the show instead of just being a frumpy asshole who's like, well, I just saw the band I like. I'm going to go do something else now.
And of course, there's like a difference too between like leaving because like, you know, like you have to like wake up at 2 a.m, you know what I mean? And there's 3 bands left. And you're like, oh shoot, you know, but there's a difference between that and you're leaving and you're like, I am leaving because I don't want to see this last band. And that's where it's like, come on, man. And especially if these sets, especially in Rapid, we don't have long sets. Like these shows are like 20 minutes per set. You know what I mean? Like just stick around. And I was gonna point that out too with being in this area with our scene specifically is like a lot of these shows are genre diverse. And it's because of, you know, the lack of bands, lack of people in a sense. Like it's just how it is. We won't get into it, but that's another thing is like I mean, I'm not in a band, but I would be like super hurt if I was like the folk band playing and there was a rock band and a punk band, and like literally the rock and punk band had a ton of people, and the second I went on stage as the folk band, everybody left. Like I would take that personally. Oh yeah. Like I'd be like, what, am I in the wrong genre? Like what am I doing? You know, like
do I suck?
Yeah. It's like I'm making the music for the art, but I'm like trying to share it, but it's like nobody wants me to share this. Like, you know, so that's the thing to consider is like when you leave, it's not like, oh, it's just like this band. Like they're not going to notice. It's like these are people in this band that are going to notice like, oh, cool.
And younger bands, tell your friends to stay. And you need to stay too. I'm not going to name names, but there's some younger bands around here that will open and play a set and just go home. No, you're there to play a show. You watch the whole show, and you watch the other bands, and you tell your friends to stay there. Otherwise, I'm not gonna want to book you. Why would I book a band that's just gonna play and leave?
Yeah, that's dumb.
No, I'm not gonna show like disrespect to touring bands by putting you on a bill or like suggesting you be on a bill, and then you play your little 20-minute set, and you and your 30 friends leave. No. Like that's disrespectful. That's not how the scene works, and you need to learn. You need to do your homework and learn how this works. Like there's some etiquette to this stuff, and it's definitely not playing a set and taking off.
Yeah,
and I think that goes to any genre. Like if it's hip hop, it's like stay for all the hip hop like artists on that bill. If it's jazz, like just stay for all those jazz artists, even though they're probably all playing an hour and a half set. But just do it, you know. So, I think with that being said, what are like moving back into more Defect territory? What are some of like, so we talked about certain goals, like, okay, like you guys want to switch the style a little bit. You want people to be dancing at the shows. What are some like overall goals, you know, like, are you guys wanting to tour eventually or kind of like what is the game plan?
I'll go first, I guess.
All right.
The initial plan here is to, for sure, have at least somewhat of a Midwest tour under our belt by next fall, or at least be doing it next fall. And then we also we're planning on, I'm not giving too much away here. Skull Kid, this means you have to do this shit if you're listening to this. We're planning on doing a split, like a 7-inch vinyl split with Skull Kid, and which we would like to do and get recorded this spring, and that'll have more of that dancey material.
Yeah.
And then also, the other goal, we've kind of alluded to this, is to get more classic hardcore bands to come back to Rapid, and to use Defect as a stepping stone to get these bands to come here. And so that's kind of what the short-term goals for the next year is. And then also on top of that, we'd like to record something like within the range of a 7-song EP of our own sometime next year. Mm-hmm. It probably won't be till later.
Yeah, and it probably won't be till we have like the new direction shit actually solidly ironed out and some songs written with that in mind.
Yeah.
So it'll be a while, but
I think that's like super unique and cool of like part of the band being like, as a band we're going to bring other bands to this area because we're the band in this area, which I think Souls has been like pretty good about doing that, like when they were in the area. And also Combaticus was really good about that. And so like I love that idea, you know what I mean, especially in this area where it's like, who else is going to do that? Yep. You know what I mean? If you're not a booker, you know, it's like,
if there's no similar band to market to other bands to have them come, then why are they going to? It's, it's not even a blip on the map at that point. But
you never know. You might be touring the Midwest and you're going to see another band that hasn't toured at all. And once they need to go on that first Midwest tour as themselves, like, bam, like, remember we played with Defect. They're from Rapid City. We're going from Denver to Minneapolis or Denver to Omaha. It's like, holy cow, I don't want to take a day off because that's expensive. So super, super clutch. Let me see here. So I guess, of course, we can expect the upcoming EP that you guys are finishing up tonight, essentially.
Pretty much.
Is there anything else other than what we just talked about, too, that we can expect from you guys?
Other than trying to iron out the new songs and stuff, we're just kind of hibernating.
We're definitely gonna need to do at least 1 or 2 more shows before the end of the year. One for a demo release, so watch out for that, and with some new material and new songs. We would I know that this is something we've loosely talked about. It might not be in the near future, hopefully maybe by spring. We would like to do some kind of music video. But that's something definitely that it's very loosely planned right now. Also, this is something that I'm throwing around a little bit, see how much response I can get. I may or may not be booking a little mini fest here in the spring, sometime maybe around April. And it'd probably just be like one night of hopefully get, around somewhere between 6 and 8 touring bands to play, and maybe like 2 locals like us, and maybe if we can get Souls on it or something. That's kind of like some short-term goals for the band that we didn't really talk about. That's kind of personal for me too. But other than that, I think we pretty much covered everything. This was really cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on here, guys. Do you want to plug anything? I'm going to put like the Bandcamp and like all the official social media links in the show notes and description. But if you...
Oh, yeah. Follow us on Twitter at DefectHC.
And shout out to old boy Scotty at Flatiron for doing such a damn good job on our shit.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Woman is the Earth, Andy Martin. Who else can we do? Oh, and the Cave Collective. Natasha and Dexter, amazing. Anybody doing anything for the scene? Trey Kane, love that kid. If he's out there and listening to this, I'm sure he will. Love you, buddy. Who else? There's one more I'm forgetting. I know. I'm gonna look here because I know I need to shout him out. So you'll love this.
Shout out to making a damn scene again.
Oh, and Shane, old head that's down at every day at every single show at the cave, running the door.
Yeah, talk about somebody who gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
And Wyatt, of course, and Someday Best and Skull Kid, like all those bands, like
they're all great fucking people.
And Skull Kid's recording right now. Their album should be out soon. It's pretty much done. Mm-hmm. And then Dead Martha's too. Check them out. They might be out by the time you drop this.
Yeah, probably because their single comes out on Halloween.
Yeah,
so
I think the whole EP comes out on Halloween.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood then. So yeah, definitely check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, check them out and support Destin.
Yeah. The man who makes the magic happen.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Defect. 2 out of 5. Yeah.
Yeah. There's 5 or 3 more of us.
God forbid.